right, let's get this intro hit. Spencer's favorite intro.
You are one of us. Your passion is the world of mountain biking, from enduro to gravel races and everything in between. This is Insider MTB, the podcast that takes you behind the handlebars, into the dirt, and behind the scenes of the mountain biking world. And now your host, Austin White.
Oh, man. Woo! There we go. All right, this is episode 20. I know we got a lot of new viewers now, a lot of new subscribers, a lot of new people going on from the weekend. I'm joined here with my co-host, Spencer Rathkamp. What's up, Spencer?
That's right. Can you believe it? We made it to 20 episodes of the Insider MTB podcast. Let's go.
Can we add commentator now to your list of resume?
Dude, I don't think that would be a smart decision by anyone to add me to that list, but we tried this weekend. Honestly,
you did
yeah.
Great. Come on.
I don't know. It was difficult. It was, I talk crap on the Supercross commentators all the time, say who I like, who I don't like. And now I think I got to keep my mouth shut because it's difficult. But no, it was great. We had a great time. For the people that don't know what Austin's talking about right now, Austin, man of many talents as well, decided he wanted to really push into the XC world and live broadcast the US Cup XC mountain bike race this weekend, all 3 days. It was an absolute behemoth of job to do, and they pulled it off in a pretty sweet fashion. So I commentated on the elite day, sat in the booth for 9 hours.
Yeah, I know. I called you and I was like, "Hey, I need some help. I need an extra commentator. We need someone for this." And you're like, "Well, what do I expect?" And I was like, "Honestly, I do not know." And we put you to the test this weekend. That was pretty wild.
Yeah, Ty gave me a little list of things to kind of just have in mind, and then I was greeted with old Brennan, and he led the charge, kind of like this podcast. I just show up, you lead the charge, and I just talk every now and then.
I know we have some people watching, kind of surprised, but all right, you guys, we will have kind of surprised. Yeah, we our viewers usually come after, we're scripted a little bit, but we're raw here. Just a warning, everyone, we're a little bit more raw. We're gonna have some mess ups. We're gonna do some stuff, but we do have a major announcement for you tonight. We also have both your winner in the men's and the women's XCO and XCC winners coming on. They're going to talk about the race. We're going to get some in-depth stuff. We would love it. We will ask any questions that, barring what they say, how crazy they are, but in the chat. So put them in the chat for these racers, these top athletes, and we'll ask it. And then we also plan to have Ty Katie on for a little bit, talk about basically the race, what's coming up. And I think a lot of people here are for the special announcement, I think. And I'm not going to give it away yet. We're going to get you through. Oh, look, we got Nikki D on. I was talking to Nikki D there. He was mechanicking, spinning the wrenches, and did a little racing this weekend, but for Blevins. So it was good to see you, Nikki. Thanks for coming on. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're going to, have a good time here and talk to some obviously incredible athletes and see what they got going on for 2025, what might be new to them, and talk about the race, get their feedback on the live feed and everything else that is the Insider MTB podcast. So
look, your teammate won, team specialized guy. So
that's right.
It was a pretty insane race. Right? Like, how do you go out there and do some of that stuff on the last lap and set the fastest lap time? That's got to be brought up, right?
Yeah, clearly he's coming into the season swinging. So, yeah, I think it's pretty exciting. And the fact that we had almost 50,000 people overall watching the live stream is just a pretty big indicator that people want to see these races even at our national level. And hopefully we can keep bringing it to people and bring some entertainment in the form of this podcast. And yeah, just keep having fun with it, because that's what I kind of do best.
I see someone did ask a question. They had back issues while racing. Any tips? Maybe define that a little more. I'm not a professional. Spencer is way more professional on that. But yeah, if you define that a little bit more, we could probably try to answer that.
Well, I think I know what he's talking about. But
okay.
we had Derek Teal from Dialed Health on the podcast last week, or not last week, but our last episode, and he would be the guy to talk to. He does strength training for cyclists. Platform where he helps riders of any skill level get stronger and get more efficient on and off the bike. And he is absolutely the guy to talk to about that. So I would just kind of send you over to him. I know that's not live helping you right here in the moment,
Spencer's
but that's
just
the way to go.
Yeah. I mean, I suffer from back issues, but that's probably because I sit so much in a chair. But yeah, for me, it's mainly stretching, big time stretching and making sure I'm right. And I can't remember what leg machine that I have. I'm sure you've used them, Spencer.
I thought you
compression
were
pants?
just going to say that your back hurts from carrying this podcast all day.
Dang. Yeah.
That's a compliment.
I just, it's a lot, but yeah. Oh, look, I wasn't watching it. Yeah, and honestly, thank you guys. I mean, I know I've gotten a lot of text messages, and Spencer, fields a lot of stuff, but thank everyone else for watching the broadcast live. Honestly, you helped us get to, I mean, we can get into a little bit of that right now, right before we have Chris about to come on here in a second. But look, over 3 days, we had roughly 50,000 unique watching people for the stream. Honestly, going into it, I had no idea that was going to get the numbers. I wanted to do this to help cycling in America. I feel like it's a very that doesn't get any love, and I think it makes it kind of tough when we're fielding all of our athletes that are going out to Europe, right? And what is the future for here? If there's no broadcast, that's what hopefully brings in the money that generates a bigger event and helps you get on a bigger stage, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, and it's just it can help all these athletes on a marketing level too. When you talk to sponsorships and talk to sponsors about bringing on sponsorships, and then also just makes people a little more human, right? So just like you see a Supercross rider on TV, you can see them live, listen to an interview live, and then listen to a full in-depth conversation like we're just about to do with Chris here on the podcast. So yeah, absolutely. And then just kind of we had it was live on YouTube and on our website and stuff all weekend, and we had a lot of people that were super generous to donate, because Austin here is doing all this basically out of his pocket. He's had a little help from a few sponsors here, but it's pretty cool to see. And yeah, I just, not to just blow a bunch of smoke up the old skirt, Austin, but I'm thankful for you, and I think that it's super cool what you're doing and what you're continuing to do. So kudos to you on that one, and
Thanks,
I hope it keeps growing.
Yeah. My plan, just so everyone does know, is to broadcast more of these events live. They will be on the Insider channel. I feel very strongly about trying to get this succeeding in America and having us something. So all the backing, we did have 19 people that generously donated to the stream. By no means it was a crazy number, but it was just cool to actually see that we had people that were willing to donate. I mean, thank you. Like, I wasn't expecting anything. And then we had our sponsors, which Ty did most of the groundwork for that. I called a lot of people and tried to get them. And I will tell you, maybe this is why the industry has never had much of this in the past, but it is hard to get sponsors to also understand a little bit of the live stream and get on board with it. This is something new to them. To me, it's something I've been doing for about 10 to 15 years. So it's a little wild, but yeah, it's really cool to finally get people to start watching it and seeing it. And the more that you guys like, subscribe, follow us, this is more data that I can bring and hopefully get outside of cycling and get us a bigger sponsor. I definitely have some of those phone numbers I can call, and I want to do that, but I want to make for sure we have the right numbers and all that type of stuff. So the more numbers we can get and watching that, the podcast and the live streams, will only, I want to just basically return it right back in and get us going. So
Yeah, which is super cool. And we haven't really seen anything in the at the local level, meaning here in the US, that have done too many live streams outside of the World Cups that have come, and then a handful of other races. Obviously, you get Rampage and events like that that are live streamed at a super big level, thanks to Red Bull. But then the XC national level stuff hasn't been live streamed, and we did a few when I was getting into it, when I started racing, with Scott Tedrow racing show air, and Ty has been super tied in with him forever, and he put a lot of money into doing live streaming races at Benelli Park and things like that, and it was awesome. But did it in a more expensive way. Had helis flying around the whole time, and
that's
yeah,
next for us. Don't worry, it's coming.
it was super cool. I know there was a heli flying around, and they picked.
We're
it up
gonna
on
actually put
cameras.
Spencer in it, and he's gonna be doing it for us. Out of this, yeah. Is that the next one? If we get enough
No,
donations, we're gonna get you to this helicopter.
no, we're spending money more wisely than that. Come on.
Um,
But
we
anyways,
got a few minutes here before Blevin gets on. I do want to talk a little bit about Vale and how sick that course was. It's been like 2 or 3 years since I've been out there, and just having the box containers, the shipping containers, and then going in and out of them multiple times. And uh, I didn't even get the ride to course. I didn't even take a bike this weekend. I'm pretty bummed, but you took your bike. You got to do some laps. Talk about it a little bit.
yeah, no, I said it many times on the stream. I cannot commend Eric Carter, Steve Walton, their crew at Velocity Bike Park like enough. They have come in there with a plan, and the campground KOA owner has like let them have free range of the entire property. And yeah, it's epic. It honestly was a pretty fun course to race, even in like 2012, kind of when I was racing XC, 2011, around then to like 2014. It was good to start, but it was just very much like a freeway. It was super fast, super flowy trails. Wasn't terrible by any means. Last year I did race 2 XC races there, and it was okay. It was good. It was making the right progress. I raced enduro there as well, and yeah, they've just kept turning and kept churning out these pretty cool trails, and finally put together this course. Not finally, but they've put together this course now that could stand as a World Cup course, in my opinion. And we'll talk to the two riders coming on here in a second about their thoughts on everything. But yeah, I think it's cool. And some people have asked why we need more technical terrain in our cross country races and things like that. And some people have pushback on it, but the American XC culture for so long, especially at the local level, has been roadie structured training with road bike skill levels, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but people that were the strongest were always going to win no matter what. There were
Yeah.
no courses out here that would challenge you, and clearly our the strongest rider still succeeds in a big way. But then you see guys like Chris and Riley and Raulito in the junior class, riders that have Kelsey, all the girls too, these great bike handling skills really succeed, and the track having rock gardens and jumps in it that separate people clearly that are racing at the World Cup level is just going to keep our progression going in the US. And I think that might have been a weak point in United States cycling in the last 10 years or so, with bringing people up, not having the best bike handling skills, and this having more courses like what we're seeing at Vale now. will just kind of keep progressing everything. I funny enough, I even had a guy reach out to me that races at an elite level, and he's got a lot of history. Super fit guy, super talented guy, and he struggled, I think, on the when it comes to the technical aspect of the trails there, and it opened his eyes a little bit. Guys strong as an ox can probably rip 99% of people's legs right off and walk away from everyone, but struggled when it comes to the descending part. Even the bits of climbing that have some tight corners and things where Chris or whoever can take a second to breathe and recover. Now this person's working all the way down the trails also, where the other riders can just ease up, relax, breathe, get ready to go up the hill the next time. And he asked me to help him work on some technical skills and train a little bit towards that, because if the courses are going to continue to be like that, he's got to evolve too. And I think that's a good thing. It's a really good thing. So yeah, like I said from the beginning, can't commend EC and the team enough. I think it's awesome to see. And yeah, I think the future is bright here for North American cycling. So
we need courses like what we've seen this weekend for sure.
yeah,
If we want to compete on this UCI stage, we need that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been a few over the years that have been more technical. You go to the East Coast, they're just more technical by nature. But if you look at World Cup races now, there's a lot of very groomed 4-foot wide trails with man-made rock gardens. I mean, I raced the Olympic test event at the Rio Olympics, like 2 weeks before the Olympics were in Rio, which was like 2018 or something, 2016, I think. I raced on that course, and I mean, that's how most courses are nowadays, where they're groomed trails where it's smooth, but then they're adding in these absolutely janky rock gardens that make no sense, but you just kind of got to figure out a way with minimal momentum to get through them, and adding drops in, adding logs that you kind of pop over and stuff. And that's just how they're racing at the highest level. So let's get used to it, right?
I seen a comment on one of our posts with Blevins. It was like, downhill guys, give us more suspension, give us more travel or whatever. And then XC guys, spandex guys, like, hold my beer, I'll do this section no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was, I mean, I don't think we had that crazy, but it was really cool stuff on the course that looked really fun to ride. And then test yourself if you had 80 or 120, looked like it was outrageously fun to ride.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to the story I told about Nino Schurter on the last episode of the podcast with Derek. The guys at the highest end of our sport, no matter who it is, no matter if it is Nino Schurter or Blevins or whoever, you name it, all can ride their bike at an extremely high level when it comes to bike handling skills. Obviously, they're super strong also, but they're no slouches by any means when it comes to pointing their bikes downhill. So I think, yeah, it would definitely not be a bad thing for even the Cat 3 30 to 39 class or whatever to be sharpening these skills as well.
And that place had it. So that's cool. I mean, the next round, Fayetteville has some similar stuff. I think more of a back east traditional style to it, right?
Yep.
Have you been to Fayetteville? Have you rode that course a little bit?
No, I haven't ridden. I mean, I've ridden around there.
Yeah,
I think I've ridden parts of the course, but I have not like lapped out that.
It might have not
track.
been built when you went there, right?
No, I was there last year. I was there.
Oh, okay. When you were there last year. Okay. Sorry, never mind.
Yeah, but yeah, and it's all the same. I mean, all the riding out there is very similar, where it's you got to fight for every ounce of speed that you have there. So
yeah,
yeah, it's cool. It's exciting.
Yeah, totally. And that's going to be round 2 for the US Cup. So, most of these athletes that won this weekend are the fast ones, a bunch of them, all of them, from my understanding, will be out there. So, Yeah, and then maybe we can talk you into just, putting on the spandex again and coming out swinging.
Give me some time. I don't know that I'm going to be in this elite category anytime soon. For whatever reason, I thought I'd never say this, but I'd probably be more comfortable in the booth. And I was uncomfortable.
Cool. So, all right, you guys, we have Chris here. Let me just click him, add him in. Here we go. Uh-oh. We just got the C for Chris right now. I don't know.
Hey guys, yeah, you can hear me though, right?
I can hear you though. What's up, Chris?
How's it going? I'm sorry to report I'm still driving. I was hoping to make it to a coffee shop in slow, but as long as my audio's good,
we're good, dude. No worries at all.
when I get there, yeah.
Oh, that'd be sick. Yeah, I know. We're doing a little bit last minute rough thing. We have Spencer here, me, and dude, just first off, congrats on the weekend. Like, what a stellar weekend. Double wins, in a great fashion with that last one. Could you just, talk about it? Like, what were your goals for this weekend?
Yeah, it was this is what, the fifth year we've been at Vail Lake.
Yeah,
One of
fourth, I
those
think.
years we didn't race when the whole world stopped in 2020, but it's always a great preseason. It's kind of the best word for it. It's like a preseason race before the real season starts in the World Cups. But really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed. I heard you guys talking about this kind of course and the technical aspect to it, which I can share some thoughts on that. But no, it's a great weekend, and always good to be back in the U.S. racing because I'm not there that much these days.
I mean, yeah, let's actually dive into that then. So this course, you've been racing over there, and how close are we? Do we need more? Is this like a course that's pretty much there?
Well, I told Eric, who I've known for years, Eric Carter from BMX, like I've known his name and been around, back when I was like 6 years old racing BMX. So it's really cool that he's the kind of mastermind behind it. But I told him, like, try to keep its own style, like its own identity, which is this flowy, fast, BMX style sections in there. Like, that's not something you're going to find in what Spencer was describing as kind of that janky European and kind of Olympic course style. And I think that it's sort of an identity for XC racing. It's subtle. I think you can make a difference if you're skilled and you're delivering the descents and you can get a little bit of a gap. But frankly, it's not as difficult to ride, like nearly as difficult to ride as the most technical World Cup courses. But I don't think it should be. I don't think it's good for younger juniors. I think it's a progressive step into that. But having those jumps that you can roll if you're not wanting to send this 15-foot step up or something, fine. I want more jumps and more more. That's what I prefer. But I think a course that's designed for fun rather than that janky, weird. But some courses is actually a good thing.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, Spencer, same.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that that there are many other courses in the U.S.? I know you're not racing too much in the U.S., but do you think that there are much that kind of compare to a Vail Lake in terms of difficulty?
Well, Fayetteville is similar, kind of flowy, fast burns, some tricky sections. Lake Placid is the easiest World Cup, probably, by far.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think. You get some natural, East Coast Rudy descents and places like Snowshoe or racing Vermont. But I mean, just generally American courses are faster, flowier, and easier to ride. But that doesn't mean that it's less exciting. And I think oftentimes it's more exciting when you have a fast course because the way that plays out, more pack dynamics. You saw the ladies race, go to a 3-up sprint basically. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, how much does it affect you staying in the U.S. and racing and riding these courses instead of going to Europe for pre-training and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been going to Europe since I was 14, pretty much, every summer. So it's been 12 years now. So, like, I've gotten that experience over there. Biggest thing that was kind of a shock living on the West Coast dry conditions is when you go to Europe and you race in Germany in April or Czech Republic and it's raining like crazy and you got that, classic Nova Mesto, Rudy terrain, and that's a whole different feeling. So that's hard to train when you're living on the West Coast. But I think that you've seen a lot of younger American riders come up having a ton of skill and just having fun on their bike. So we're not at the point where it's like the Swiss kiddos where they're hopping on skill like based races or obstacle courses when they're 6 years old.
Yeah.
But the more we can have courses that are fun where kids can play and the net set down, I think they're just going to get better naturally.
Yeah. I think you're 100% correct there. And I think we're already kind of starting to see it. When I was like racing the NICA League, we had rules at Vail Lake where I was like told to keep both wheels on the ground. And not to say that's necessarily a bad thing or not to ever knock NICA or any of the high school leagues because it's given me so much life and I'm so thankful for it. But I think that having opportunities like you were just saying to have fun and challenge a rider on any skill level will definitely just allow for a more natural curation of better bike handlers like you kind of see on a more natural level in Europe at this point. So it's cool.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's a good point. Like we shouldn't be kind of like disillusioned of thinking that NICA is close to World Cups because it's very, very far.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's good to have like an accessible, courses and more international fields, and then chase a World Cup dream. So the more the merrier.
Yeah, totally. Okay, how do you set the fastest lap on the last lap of your race? Can you just explain that to me?
Yeah, well, that's what I got to do to win the World Cup. Like that and more. So that's where my mind was at. I pushed it, obviously, the first 3 laps of the race, and was really happy I had like such consistent, times after that. But then, the last lap, like if you can't throw down a lap that's 20 seconds faster on lap 7 in the lead field, like you're not going to win. Period. So just trying to get that mindset and not leave anything out there. So, yeah.
I mean, it was pretty unreal. I think Spencer kind of called it. He was like, it looks like he's setting up and he's going to do his fastest lap this last lap. And we were like blown away to watch that.
Yeah, it was super interesting watching the race. And I haven't really watched a race that close in not close, meaning your proximity to the other riders, but with that sharp of focus on a XC race in a long time. And it was pretty interesting. I don't know exactly how you're feeling, but the race seemed to come to you pretty easily. And obviously it's not by no means easy, but it seemed like the way that you kind of set up and the pace that you put in early, and then how you kind of just didn't have to Right. It at least didn't seem like you had to put in some massive attack to get away from the guys. It kind of just seemed like you slowly started turning on the gas to ride everyone off, and then you had a couple laps to yourself essentially. And I
Yeah.
think I think you could have gone like 10 seconds faster on that last lap too. It seemed like you played it a little easy in some points, not pushing yourself too hard, but then in the sections that you could really put the hammer down, you were.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, well, I mean, it certainly wasn't easy. You know, you hear people say like, you know, it doesn't get any easier. You just go faster.
Yeah.
And that's definitely true if you're really trying. So like I was definitely hurting out there, and that was the goal, make myself hurt. And you know, anytime you're racing that strong of a field, you have to in order to win. But yeah, and that's the mindset that I want to take into every race. Is, you know, why show up if you're not ready to give it your all? And even if I could have, posted a bit for the win and chilled that last lap a bit more, like I said, I didn't do that in a World Cup. I didn't expect to land on the podium. Yeah. So it's just,
It seems like you're coming in. Seems like you're coming into the season at a pretty high form. Do you have like kind of some, obviously you're kind of picking and choosing where your peak is going to be for the season. Are you you think you're still at a level where you have quite a bit of room to grow on the top side?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think I've learned you can never take anything for granted and never really like expect yourself to be. You can have confidence, but at the end of the day, everybody you're lining up against has had 4 months, 6 months of good training back home, and is doing everything they can. So that's what it's like at the top level. And I mean, I've got a great winter training wise, and got some confidence. But like I said, you never know, and you got to just be open to, you know, who knows what Brazil will bring. Last year, I didn't expect to be able to win the first World Cup, and then tons of stuff happened, just mechanicals, whatever else. And you just can't forecast too much, but you got to keep that confidence. And I know that if I do things well the next 3 weeks and have some luck and just good environment, then I've got as good of a chance as anyone to win, really.
Yeah, that's cool. Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, you have a couple years under your belt now on the season, so however best we want to say it, but it seems like you probably now know a little bit what it does to take to win. So it's cool that you're able to make it work and come to these U.S. rounds. Fayetteville is next for you, or confirmed on that?
Yeah, just a week back home, and then I'll stay in Arkansas until Brazil. So it'll be a busy month in April. April.
All right, nice. I seen you had Nikki D out there spinning some wrenches, helping a little bit this weekend. What was up with that last minute come in, or are we seeing a new mechanic job for him? What do we got there?
Yeah, no, Nikki's a great guy. Ride with him in Santa Cruz, and this was his first time as a race mechanic, and he did a great job, which I knew he would. Last year, Haley was here as well, so we were able to have a little bit more of a team setup. But this year, I was going solo pretty much. Nikki came and was a great, like I said, great support, great mechanic.
Heck yeah, that was cool to see him at the races.
He raced. He's also, I'll say, Nikki's like one of the most skilled people I've ridden with XC bikes, so that's nice.
That's right, and he stood on the podium for himself on Sunday, I saw.
Yeah.
Good weekend for you boys.
Yeah, like Team Specialized out here, you know, had you commentating, have you winning, have you spinning wrenches and getting on the. I mean, couldn't do it any other way. I love it, man.
Totally.
That's cool, dude. So, are you going straight to Brazil from Arkansas, like on the next day? Because it's pretty close, right?
We have a week there, so I think a few of us Riley, Braden, I think Glenn and Maddie, maybe Sevilla. They're all staying over there for a week before heading down to Brazil. Makes travel a little easier. And yeah, obviously a good place to train.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, yeah, Nikki was kind of sharing a little bit, like you've had a pretty crazy schedule though too, right? Like just going back and forth and this and that. You know, I remember reading your article, I think it was Velo News, but about having more US stuff and you guys wanting to stay here and have more of that type of stuff. Hopefully we're on the right track for that, but do you want to share a little bit of your insights on that type of stuff?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think that we've got a milepost, which is LA, Olympics in 4 years. And obviously that will be huge for sport across the board in the US. But I think mountain biking can really lean into some of that momentum. And Warner Brothers Discovery, the World Cup scene, is I think wanting to invest more in North America, hopefully having more World Cups stateside. But I think that there's a different culture around bike racing in the U.S., which is more about the mass participation, weekend warrior focus, which is good. Like that's what has made gravel so successful. But the Olympic disciplines or pro road doesn't have as much of a culture around it as it does in Europe. But I think that there's a lot of opportunities to pair them, and I'm pretty loyal to mountain biking, and I love the sport, and I think people with good mountain bike events and community will love it. In my mind, maybe more than riding on a gravel road, and yeah. But
I'm with you.
Like I said, it's the same mindset. Kind of the more the merrier, and more in order to be a bike racer, make a living, have a career in the U.S. the better. So I hope that there are more UCI level races, which really it's without Ty leading the U.S. Cup Series the last few years, like we'd be kind of in trouble. There's some good other races out there, but I hope that there's going to be more of a unified effort with race promoters, with just the cycling community in general to continue to grow that, because I think the opportunity is there.
Oh, 100%. That's why I'm on board. That's why we're doing the live streams. Like I want to grow it. There should be a future for you guys here, and even because I mean, there's only so many of you that right now could realistically, and just especially with the new rules, race at the UCI level. So we need to have a great feeder, strong system here that you guys are able to make a decent living here and racing XC, I believe. And Ty's on totally one of those series, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, that's the opportunity. And I think that's that middle ground in between, junior level in the World Cup.
We might have lost your audio there. I think we're losing you on the audio there, Chris.
Sorry, is that better now?
No, it's all a little bit better right there. Yeah, I mean, how close are you to are you close to the coffee shop, or where are you at? You want to call back in?
No, I'm like 5 minutes away now, so with me for that, and I'll pull over shortly. Yeah.
All right. Matt, you want to do that and call back in, and then we'll dig into some more of this.
Sure, I'll call you back in a few minutes.
Perfect. That works. Sweet. Thanks, Chris. All right, you guys. Chris will be back on. You guys are going to get a little bit better service, and maybe we'll get some video feed from him and that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, look, I was around. For me, I grew up in motocross background. I was around and I seen how they've built a little bit of a career path for people in motocross, and I don't really see that in the cycling, right? And ties is the level for America. Well, I don't know what it's like in Europe. So maybe there is some, from my understanding, Spencer, maybe you could help me a little bit more on this, but in Europe, there's probably a bunch of tie style races. And when I'm saying tie races, this is US Cup races that have money that you can go win and race in. And there's a little bit of maybe a broadcast or some good coverage. We don't have that in the US, right?
Yeah, I mean, we do. It's
called
just not
the Lifetime Series.
It's just not organized. No, there are so many absolutely epic races here in the United States that are all put on by individual families and mountain bike cycling lovers and stuff that do such a good job with some incredible events like Missoula XC is one of them that comes to mind that I've raced, and there's a few up in Minnesota, and I mean there's races all over the US that have a couple hundred people racing every year. And I think that the thing that Europe has going for it that is a little more seems to be working in a more of a funnel to the World Cup level is just that it is a little more organized. We have USA Cycling here that has races that are obviously sanctioned, but then there's so many other event organizers that don't want to be a part of USA Cycling because it's super expensive, and a lot of people don't really see the point if they're just going to show up don't see the point of buying a USAC license if they're just going to show up to one USAC race a year.
And it's different level of points from my understanding, right? That it dishes out to get you to the UCI.
Well, there's only a grip of UCI races here in the United States. There's not many. Most are not. 90%, I would say 85% of races have, maybe even more than that, 95% of races have no association with the UCI. So
yeah,
you can race Missoula XC all you want and never score a point for UCI in general, which UCI isn't the end all be all. If there were,
well, that's what
if there were an organization here in the
United
States
saying,
to drive into these bigger US Cup races or whatever you see. But I think, to your point, there's races like Loretta Lynn's and Ponca and Mini-O's or whatever that are exactly that. There are these amateur national races that are huge that people go and dream of winning, even on a vet level. People go race at, and we don't have anything that really distinguishes this search for the future outside of just showing up to local races. And then what do? We send our good kids to Europe for a handful of years with the USAC team, which is great.
But if they could go there and get chewed up and spit out really quick and
just burnt out, because they're in an environment that's new to them. In most cases, they're in countries that aren't speaking English is not their first language.
Mine aside, just the food differences. I've been to Europe multiple times, and just the culture and living in that is tough. Yeah,
that's where I was going with that. It's just a bit of a culture shift, and just being with a bunch of strangers or people you race with and you're not super close with. I mean, it's got to be rough for these kids. So if we could try to curate something here in the U.S. to develop riders a little more, and I think that it's pretty evident after watching this weekend what the Bear national team's doing. They got a lot of super talented riders, and she seems to be doing, Julia, I believe is her name.
Julia,
is doing a great job of kind of funneling people. When I was racing, it was the whole athlete team that was doing that, and they were pushing people to Europe and stuff, and they were kind of the team to be on. And I don't know, I'm still super optimistic, and I think that having more viewership of these things would be super good.
Yeah, I mean, I've always heard of the Trek and Julia from the past, but really this weekend now when we broadcasted it, I was like, holy moly, that is a lot of riders on a team and being supported and things like that. And it really definitely grinded my gears were spinning. I'm like, oh man, like how important having a broadcast to be of this showed, and or even having platforms for them to all get to and get to some type of level before going over to Europe. And it's just a whole piece of the puzzle, the broadcast, having proper courses, having proper paying events, and putting that all together. And I know I'm just one piece of the puzzle. I'm not the end all be all or the savior on any of that, but I'm glad and I'm be one piece of the puzzle. So I'm hoping working with other ones to make this happen, because it really needs to happen in the US, and in America, type of thing. Because there was some crazy fast kids out there just in the 17 to 18 that were looking rippers that we may never even get to see over there, or make it to that level. And maybe they do get burned out because they're like, well, what am I racing for? What is my future? Even if, they look at maybe the statistics, it's 1%, not even that. What it would be, you would take that from that. So I could see how parents wouldn't want to push you towards that.
Yeah.
Or stuff, right?
But also, I mean, look at the NBA, for instance, or the MLB. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of kids every year that are pushing into that with aspirations to be the next
Totally.
slugger, and it doesn't necessarily always be that. That's even a slimmer chance, but
I mean,
yeah.
But at least there's something there. And that's what I feel like. There's just almost a little bit of nothing. So, yeah, hopefully we can just keep this the positivity and the good stuff going on this. So, and it's cool to see that Chris is willing to dedicate and give some of his time to stay here, because I think he sees the challenges that he faced to get to the level he's at. Right? I mean, like that's pretty cool. I don't know. Not all the time does an elite athlete in their sport come down and do some of that type of stuff to support their.
Exactly. You never see Lewis Hamilton just racing some local race, really. So, yeah, it's cool. And I also think it's good, puts people in a good perspective rider wise to have Blevins showing up at a semi-local race and seeing him and kind of lining up with him or against him, and
Totally.
then really getting thrown into the fire of what a top level World Cup racer is like. And yeah, like the guy I was telling you about that reached out for skills help.
So not to cut you off on that, but one thing before we do go in, there was, and someone did correct me here, and you're right, there is a bunch of other teams. It wasn't just Bear national team. They probably had some of the biggest fields in it. But Donovan Racing, Dirt Camp, Gravity Academy, all had some great athletes out there. And I'm not discrediting any of them. No, we were just seeing a lot of pink and blue shirts, but
they just dominated the weekend. But I'm not saying that there's no shots fired at anyone. This is just one example, one riff.
We do have a special guest in the waiting room, kind of something that we're going to bring in here, and this could be good for our announcement.
Okay.
All right. What's going on, John?
Hey, good afternoon, Austin. How are you?
I'm good. I'm joined here with Spencer. We are live right now. So,
hi, Spencer.
How you doing, John? Welcome to the Insider MTB podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be with y'all.
Heck yeah. I know you were driving home and stuff, so I'm glad that you were able to stop by for this. I haven't announced anything yet. Thought I'd have you on for this. Just so you guys know, John here is with Orange Seal, and we've been going back and talking a lot and stuff, and he has the same values as me, wanting to help the sport and keep it going up and everything like that. So combining efforts and everything like that, John has graciously enough helped to support us in Orange Seal to get us to Fayetteville to do a live stream and bring that whole little broadcast situation there. And I just want to say thanks, John. And talk about a little bit about what you're doing for the sport. And I know you have all the tents over there, and you're not just selling product, you were having tons of athletes and everything like that and supporting the sport. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity to come on and share that with you guys. And, it was just, I want to say up front, I mean, I got so much positive feedback on the live coverage that y'all did, and the commentary. It was next level. And, I mean, when you see something good, how can you not help that be better in any way that is possible? And
Thank
so, keep up the good work. And, yeah, we're really excited to be a part of this ecosystem of, it takes a village, and you're part of the village because you're bringing the sport to those that can't attend, like the grandparents, the parents, and the friends, the family, and the people that want to get into the sport. And that's so critical, um, because not everybody can travel across the country, and they all want to see and hear and feel it. And I think that's another level that you brought that realism to the sport. And Ty, he's a big part of this, in that he provides. I mean, his goal is the same as. I mean, I really got to sit down and get to know you this last weekend, and Ty's philosophy is, I just want to help people grow, and like you and me and Julia Violich, we all want to help kids grow, and we want these kids to have a fighting opportunity to race at the World Cup level, or be it gravel or mountain bike, marathon, or continue on in XC. But it's really wonderful to see all these youth development programs. And we have taken a big interest Orange Seal has taken a big interest in helping these youth programs develop with, getting to the races by sponsoring their teams and helping in any way we can. When we show up, we don't sell anything. We always push everybody to our dealers and our distributors, because it's part of that ecosystem where everybody helps everybody. And so we're just there to help with mechanicals. Yes, if people need sealant, we're going to top them off. Or if they have any kind of problem, we're there to help. And then we're also there to caffeinate them. We love to serve the Gotado. It used to be called. Oh,
Sorry, we just added Chris in. He was in the lobby room, but keep going, John.
okay.
He
Yeah, I mean,
he wanted to hop in on this too.
we have so many people to look up to. And I mean, we have American racing last year was so amazing, and it's so honored. I'm honored to be on the same podcast as Chris. He's an amazing rider, an amazing person off the bike. And I mean, we had a great showing at the Olympics and World Cups last year. And this young man is a big part of helping develop the youth of tomorrow and today. And so we're really excited to be a part of this. And, Orange Seal, what helps us is when the people that are friends and racers and family, they can purchase it from their dealers. And that in turn gets back to us, which in turn gives us an opportunity to give more back to the community. And that's where we channel our funds, is back into the community, so that we can, build more people that can help Chris take on the Europeans at World Cups. And so, Riley's right with him, and we've got a very strong crew coming up. So for us, my history, I love riding my bike, and I never had the opportunity to go race at a high level, but I would have loved to. So when we started this company, we said we're going to make a sealant, but our main thing is going to be to help develop other athletes.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. And I haven't had the opportunity to talk or speak to you much. But I've ran Orange Seal forever, and always pretty much have, other than a little bit here and there. But it's always been from the get-go pretty evident that you guys were always willing to put forth a lot of your guys' time and value towards the youth and people riding. Always Orange Seal is at events helping people. If you go to the race like where we were this weekend, you saw a lot of riders warming up under your guys' tents that are from all different teams, all different whatever walks of life, and they're all under the Orange Seal tent. So I think that that's a pretty big compliment, one, and also just really shows off what you guys have been doing outside of making sealant that goes in the tires, So
Well, thank you.
yeah, that's awesome.
we're very excited that we can have a product that can be applied to every racer if they choose to. I know there's a lot of options on the market, and as Chris would attest to, competition's good, keeps everybody healthy, and we're not afraid of that. But we have the same drive as Chris, Sevilla, even the young one, Nico, or the winners from the junior class this weekend, Ben and River, who have a special place in our heart. They're part of the Orange Seal Academy. And Ben just came off the World Championships in cyclocross, barely, 3-4 weeks. And here he is racing mountain bike. And I forgot to ask him if he felt like jumping off his bike and running during the event, but we didn't get a chance to catch up. But we're very thankful for all the athletes out there, and I think it doesn't matter what sealant you run. Uh, we want to be there just to help the community grow and watch the amazing athleticism of the young talent that we have here in America, and that you guys are helping tell the story of what's happening in the field. Because mom and dad, they don't want to just hear a race report. If they can see it, that's where you guys are so valuable and critical. And when I saw what an excellent job you did, it was a natural to kind of help you guys get to Fayetteville and more. And I'm looking forward to working with you guys on a continual basis. And yeah, we all love to watch Chris, Sevilla, Kelsey, all the top people race across the world and even in the U.S.
Well, I appreciate it, John, and I'm really stoked to see that we're getting to Fayetteville. So, um, it's going to be great. And I do want to shift. Like, I'm awesome on that. We're going to kill on this broadcast and everything like that. But I definitely would like to keep the conversation going. Like, we're trying to help in getting great American racing coverage and great American racing. I know Blevins, we were just talking about it with you. I don't know if John, if you're able to listen, but definitely cultivating something that we can keep. If there isn't a future for you in the UCI over there, there is something here too, right? That you can showcase and stage. And I think, I don't know if you guys know each other or have met a few times, but I think we're all kind of in the same goal of that. And I think it's great to see that. But any of those ideas and whatever we can do to do that type of stuff from both of you guys, I appreciate all your guys' help.
Yeah, I mean, Chris is a wealth of knowledge here, and I'll let him speak. I mean, how can we further help as a unbiased and independent, just want to see development of youth? I mean, that's why the academy was born. I pivoted from an off-road team to the academy, where that's our true passion, is helping athletes develop and be the best that they can be. And it's really a holistic approach. For us, it's not just drive an athlete into the dirt and make them sick and compromised and all that. So we really look after the athlete. So I'll be quiet. I love speaking about this. So sorry, it's passionate.
Up to you, Chris. Tell us what else do we need to do? We got Fayetteville, we got Tyke 80, we got Orange Seal here, we got Vale. What else more do we need to be? We keep going, that you think will help?
Well, I'll tell you that the secret that to all of it is, no, just kidding. There's no secret to all of it. I think that the passion that John's talking about, that John has, and just willingness to show up. Like, sometimes it's a small sport, and it just takes one passionate individual to be able to grow a lot. And John's done that with Orange Seal and everything that's come from his work. I've seen that done with two passionate people in Durango, Chad Cheney and Sarah Tesher, who started Durango Devo. There's a lot of power that can just come from, if you love this sport, if you love working with kids and seeing what they can do through the bike, which I certainly love this sport and have gained so much in my life from it, that all you got to do is just show up, be creative, have creative ideas, and find people who are like-minded, because we're all on the same team in that way. We all just want to see kids and adults thrive on bikes, and like I said, I'm kind of, loyal to like the sport. And when I say the sport, I mean like XCO racing, because I think that the Olympic discipline and being able to race world championships and like, I sort of want to protect that pursuit for kids, right? Who don't have to, if you want to be more of a, what pros in America are now, which is your own business person, and you're balancing the racing side and endurance gravel scene with kind of being an entrepreneur and working with brands. Like it's a super cool career, but it's a different career in some ways than pursuing like a world championship Olympic pipeline. And there's just different trajectories. At the end of the day, if you're a good cyclist, you can succeed at whatever. But I think that like helping, USA Cycling has a very important function, which is getting kids to world championship, getting adults to elites to, world championships and Olympics. Like, it's freaking cool that mountain bike racing is in the Olympics,
Yeah.
And I want to continue to see that thrive. And like I said about the more the merrier, rising tide lifts all boats, the better.
Love that saying.
Yeah, the better, the gravel scene is in the U.S., the better the mountain bike scene will be, and the better the road scene will be. So all of this just requires people realizing we're on the same team and looking for those shared, strategies on growing the sport, because there's a lot of good ideas out there. There's a lot of successful models. It's just about sharing them, and goes everywhere from the race promoter side to the development team side. But I'm pretty optimistic about the momentum we've had the last few years, and the amount of kids that are showing up to races like Bear Lake.
For sure. 121 kids in the 17 to 18 class. That was pretty crazy and pretty cool to see. And I'm with you. I think that there's a lot of things that we are responsible for in order to continue this growth and keep XC in the Olympics, and maybe put more mountain bike disciplines in the Olympics as well. I think viewership, it's there. The Olympics is a business too. So if we get strong numbers and keep people watching the sport like Austin's doing here with the live stream, and John, obviously, of the Vail Lake and now the Fayetteville round, I think getting eyes on the sport in a way that doesn't necessarily always have to be you racing, because I think right now the mountain bike cycling world has, in the US, the culture is very driven around participation, which is definitely not a bad thing, but getting people to also be excited to watch you, Chris, race on the weekend, whether it's on whatever platform it is or the other. Like, I think that's where there's a lot of room to grow for us and make it part of that culture, because the Tour de France is one of the most watched sporting events of the year for a reason. It's an awesome sport, and the culture over there is so behind supporting that we can get
we have to build that here. We definitely have. I think I think.
And I think, and I'll put Chris on the spot. I got to know him a little bit in Fayetteville a year or two ago, and learned a little bit about his history. And I think the generation of leaders at the top of the sport we have right now, they have a common attribute, and that's humility, where you can walk up to Chris and say hello, and he'll have a conversation with you. And I think that's so alluring to the young athletes, that they can actually walk up and talk to the guy that's been to the Olympics. And same with Sevilla, you can walk up and talk to her. And I think that's very important in the modern day society, where we have to have, or we like to have, direct access. And that's what you guys are doing, is providing that visual. And then when they see Chris, I mean, we were laughing in the pit at this last weekend when the kids, I don't know if I'm sure you saw them, Chris, when they all took their shirts off and were swinging, and you had quite a crew out there. And, I mean, they were on different brands, different bikes, different everything, and they still are rooting for Chris. So it was very humbling to see that interaction.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a champion of this through and through. I think that adding the humanity back into the sport is, or
Yes.
any athlete in general, is so key. I think in a lot of these bigger sports that are super popular, the superstars kind of get lost in their own world, and they lose a bit of their own humanity behind it. And social media has been a great tool to help bring that back to the masses and allow people like Chris and LeBron James or whoever it is to show really who they are more and more. And podcasts like this, I think podcasts in general are super popular because of that. It allows people to get on and have a real down to earth conversation that's not chopped up in 20-second bits here and there and paraphrased and misinterpreted and all that jazz. And yeah, I think it's paying dividends in a lot of ways in sports more than just ours. And like you said, though, John, it's pretty awesome to see. Yeah, there's not many sports where a kid can walk up to one of the top athletes in our sport and just have a real genuine conversation with them. So then thank you, Chris, for having the humility to
and being
carry that
real.
through. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I had my Venmo out, and they were charging $10. No, but I think that, like, all of us see ourselves in the junior kids. Like, I sort of have to, like, remind myself that I'm 20. I'm be 27 in a few days, so I'm like 10 years older than them. Because I don't feel that different. At the end of the day, like, bike racing's the same experience whether it's a junior or me in the Olympics. So that's something that we should celebrate and have fun with, really. So yeah.
But I get it. We're here to win the 2028 Olympics. Like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, totally. And like John said, man, I've been super, like, fiery about wanting the U.S. to just assert itself in the European-dominated mountain bike world, and like one of the sickest wins of my career, like, just most special moments was when I had that last lap of the relay last year, and where the U.S. won the team relay world championships. That was just a culmination of a lot of years of trying, and I think represents how far we've come. So there are more moments like that, and it feels so good to have this year, like Riley and Bjorn, and who have aged out of U23. Like, finally I have some American compatriots in a way, because in the last few years I've sort of been alone in the elite field. So I hope that there are more and more of us Americans, racing World Cups, and like I said, I'm optimistic about that.
Heck yeah. I love it.
Cool. That gave me the chills just thinking about it too, man. That's awesome.
I mean, I have to be honest. My favorite race was when you won it on the home surface at Snowshoe. I mean, It was so, I still get chills on the back of my neck seeing an American go up against the best of the bus on home turf. And that's what I think we're all looking for in 28. It would be fun to experience that as Americans. And, I will do whatever it takes. If Chris needs help, I'll help him, just because he's a great human, and humanity crosses brand lines for me anyway. And brand lines should never be a division. It should be a unifier, because that's what we're all here for.
For sure.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Small world,
nicely
small
said,
sport,
John.
which is a good thing. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Chris, thank you for coming on. I know you hit a little last minute and hopping on and everything. Thanks for everything. I'll see you in Fayetteville here. I don't know what day you get in, but I'll send you some texts and stuff. And I appreciate you. Thanks for collaborating and doing some posts and getting attention to watching the stream and everything like that. I really do appreciate that.
Are we on a time crunch?
Well,
Chris,
1:30 we have Kelsey coming on. I mean, you guys want to stay on? We just have Kelsey at. Look, we're a little raw here. If you guys are cool with it, Ty's also waiting to hop on. Should we just have them all on at the same time? Are we all cool with that? All right, cool. Well, then keep it going. Let me, Spencer, keep it rolling. John, thank you for coming. Let's all just hang out. Keep the conversation going. Let me do a little back end of getting some people in.
If you have to go, by all means, take off,
Yeah.
and we can have anyone back if you guys are willing to. But I It's been a while since we've talked, Chris, and I was just curious. Like the last time we spoke to you, I think was about this time last year, and then a lot had happened, and you went to the Olympics, and I just was curious on how that kind of turned out and how that went for you, and how that felt to be flying the flag with another American rider for the first time in a while. And yeah, I mean, it was a pretty exciting year, I think, for you as a whole. And
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sort of goes without saying saying how big of an honor it is to race in the Olympics, and how much support. The coolest thing about it is the support you feel from, your whole community, like people you haven't heard from in years, send a message to wish you good luck. And it does feel like it goes beyond you, and it's beyond sport even, for that matter. So it's a special experience. It's so cool walking through the village and seeing the world and different athletes at different sizes. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing. The race itself was bittersweet for me. I had a flat and some bad luck, other mechanical, and you put so much into that day, and all you can ask for is to give it your best, and I certainly did that, but wasn't the result I came for. But it was a great season otherwise. Had some other ups and downs, some crashes late in the season where I think I was on my best form, but yeah, it's sort of nice that not having the Olympic. Riley probably feels the same way. Like we were so locked in and so focused on these early season races and checking points all the time to both get there and to peak in Brazil. And I think we still got the same approach and mindset, but there's a little less, pressure, I guess, which is nice.
A little less urgency behind getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, you guys did amazing last year because you had to peak early in the season, and then you had to somehow rebuild and peak again. And so it was a tough year, and you guys handled it really well. And we were cheering, and it was amazing to kind of see, hear, and watch.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, we all really showed up. Brazil with the first weekend with Riley and I's wins, Haley and Sevilla on the podium, like that was unreal. And then Haley going on to get the silver medal, and so it was a special year for the U.S. and it feels like we've sort of, as a country, arrived back in the sport, which we started.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't know if it was true, but I heard that there were so many fans that they weren't letting any more people into the venue. I don't know if or it was just way expanded, but if that was true, but it seemed like a lot. Was it crazy with that many people there, like seeing that, or is that more than a World Cup, or what do you think?
To be honest, I wasn't, I don't really know. I was just, just saw between the lines of the race, but definitely the French show up, and, they had Pauline and Victor.
Yeah.
I think Pauline has kind of transcended the sports fans, after winning. Like she's recognized nationally in France, which is great. So no, it was a cool environment. It was so much more alive, obviously, than Tokyo, where there was nobody there. And I mean, it was a true experience, and yeah, no, it's special.
And now
LA will, we got to bring it for sure. I'm sure we will.
I heard slight rumors that and I don't know who, if how true everything is, but I heard that it might not, the XC race might not even be in LA. So we'll see where it ends up being. It might be a little bit like the surf venue for Paris was in Chopu, which was far away from anywhere in France. And I don't know, hopefully selfishly, I want to keep it here. And
well, if it could be at Vail, then I can help.
I think it will be. I think it'll be in LA.
I mean, we got some great trails over here, so
yeah. Ty could help if it's in Vail. He's the master of
yeah, Ty.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, I mean, Chris, I don't know if you remember, but like I would say 8 years ago, you sent me that map of Benelli, bleachers, all that. I thought Benelli was locked in, and now I'm hearing something different. So I thought Benelli made sense, proximity wise to downtown LA and stuff. But I heard they ran into some troubles with an endangered species. So
yeah, same.
I would imagine it's got to end up near LA, but hey, maybe it ends up in Arkansas. So who knows?
I mean, Vail,
money,
dude.
Money talks.
Money.
Yeah, someone's going to need some money. I think someone was telling me, one of the Ozark people, that Oklahoma City bought the kayaking. So apparently you can take it anywhere. So interesting.
I don't know. I just work here, so
Yeah, don't ask.
yeah. What's going on, you guys? We've added Ty to the conversation. U.S. Cup. And now I guess maybe we'll call you ex-athlete now. Maybe still athlete, trainer.
I haven't ridden a bike.
Is it over?
Yeah, the dream's over.
The dream's over.
Cat one dream is over.
Oh
so
man.
Maybe I'll hop on it a little bit, but yeah, I get so busy. I didn't even ride. I wanted to jump on the course, but I got really behind this week and put myself in the corner, so I didn't even get to even. Usually like to pedal around out at Fayetteville and stuff like that, and Vail, and didn't get a chance. But yeah, I do enjoy riding and racing, but that's trying to elevate this thing's taken a lot of energy, and it's actually it's actually harder than it appears. So yeah, the bike's kind of taking a second seat, but yeah, hopefully get back on that thing after Fayetteville.
I get it. Spencer came out and he was like, "Hey man, like, when do I get a chance to go ride?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. I don't know." I get it, because I mean, we were watching it in that section in the video that you collaborated with us, Chris. Like, it just looks so fun. Over the top in those rocks, cushion, a little step down double. I know Spencer was he was fiending at the mouth to get out there to ride that section. Didn't you say you had a little iffy moment there when you hit it first lap, huh, Spence?
Not in that section.
No, different section.
On a little thing, yeah, just first lap ripping it blind. But yeah, it was fun. It was super cool. I motivated me, inspired me a little bit to go.
Yeah, you got this enduro guy excited to ride, XC out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Ty, I don't know if you had heard or if you were watching before, but we were just talking about building a strong U.S. base of races. And with the U.S. Cup, we have round 1 at Vail, round 2 at Fayetteville, and then you guys you extended the series for a little bit of stuff. Maybe just talk a little bit about that and kind of the vision.
Yeah, well, we added a couple rounds. Soho's been on the UCI circuit for quite a while, and they wanted to join. And I'd had a kind of a relationship over at Washington, and that I've been working on. So we kind of added them to get their feet wet, just as a USAC race. And then, when you talk about trying to give Chris and these new riders and stuff kind of that pre-race season before they go to Europe, that one of the problems is the courses are it's hard to get something that they're going to see over there. And this stuff is just on the other next level of technicality and stuff. If you go to Nove Mesto or something like that. So it's Washougal, we're excited because they have that ability to possibly, do something like Eric's done out at Vail and stuff with the equipment and the infrastructure. And I think that's what the U.S. riders need, is a little bit more replica kind of courses, or get them a little closer, so that they're training on something they're going to go see. And that's been a real lack of here in the States, in my opinion. Even when we were running it through show area, Benelli, Fontana weren't really nothing special. It's just that we had the funds and the ability to do it, so we can give them those points. But I think the course and the technicality is a big thing that I'm trying to work on, because I think that sharpens these up and coming kids. And then when they go to Europe, it's not quite the shock that it was, 10, 15 years ago, I think. So that's kind of the goal of my vision, for sure, if we can pull it off.
Yeah, for sure. And Chris was talking about that a little bit earlier too, with the park having its own identity and its own vibe of the course. He said it's obviously not as technical or as awkward as some of those U.S. Cup, or not U.S. Cup, as the World Cup courses, but he said it was a great step in the right direction. And I mean, watching it definitely felt like it was, and then riding it definitely had some versatility to it that we have not seen here at least in Southern California in quite some time. So it was super cool to see. And yeah, now we got Kelsey on too, right back in it, and I'm sure she could talk all about the course here. Welcome in, Kelsey.
Yeah, welcome, Kelsey. Welcome to the podcast, Insider MTB. We're a little raw here. We're a little rough. We got full house today. And I don't know if you were listening earlier, but we announced that with help from Orange Seal over here and John Vargas, we are going to Fayetteville to do the live stream there as well. But back to you, double wins this weekend. Wow, amazing. Can you talk about it a little bit?
Oh, geez.
Yeah, no pressure. We're all watching.
No, it felt good. I mean, I don't get to race in the US like all that much now because, the World Cup schedule is so busy. And so, I mean, to get to race in California is like another bonus, home state. And also just to like get to connect with, everyone who supports me stateside, but who I'm not necessarily like in person with all that often. That all like counts for a lot. Yeah, drove my van down and and camped out at the KOA. Super fun, flowy, fast track. I think that made for like really exciting like tactical racing. And yeah, I was taken a hiatus from being at the front of races, do some health stuff, and then like some point ranking issues. So most of my racing the past 2 years has been like a chase from the back, and kind of I catch the front of the race at the very end, and then I'm there, and I'm like, oh hey, like it's just kind of a solo TT effort that I've been doing, and so it's interesting and kind of exciting, like a new sort of challenge and experience and learning curve to be at the front from the beginning. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I think I mentioned a little bit, but like, I've been racing, like athletes like Sevilla Blanc since we were like 15, 16s. And, I think we've had like, we do a lot of training together. We also have the same coach as members of Orange Seal Academy. And I think we've really gotten to like experience each other's like development as riders. And like, we know each other's strengths and weaknesses. Like, I think, we really know each other as riders. And I think that kind of comes together to make for, some special racing. And also it's helpful, I think sometimes you lose like maybe perspective of how far you've come, but then it's like, kind of I can see how far she's come in certain moments and ways she's evolved as a rider. And that kind of reminds me like, oh yeah, we've been, right here doing this thing together. And like, we both, both grown so much. And that's really cool to share and to experience. So.
Well, for one, I don't know your history, so don't fry me for that. I was like, who is this right now? And she's kicking ass. and then, as people explain some stuff and obviously seeing the jersey and everything. So on Saturday, that race was going down and Jen Jackson starts popping that double. I don't know if you'd seen that. We were all talking about it, but at that point, you guys were just, I was like, okay, well, this has changed the dynamic. And then it almost like you started figuring it out, and then you three broke away. That was, I mean, at what point did you think that you were going to win it?
In the short track?
No, on Saturday. Did you not see that double that she was doing?
Yeah. No, I know she was doing the double.
Okay.
At the very beginning of the lap. That one.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't even know why I brought that up. Sorry. Basically, at what point did you find yourself knowing that you were gonna win?
I don't think you ever know you're gonna win until you make it to the line.
I don't know. I'm just saying it just seemed like you guys were fair-paced, right?
Good sensation, and I felt in control and confident. And I tried to not take it for granted and keep it rolling. But yeah, I think one of the challenges of racing on a course like this past weekend is, it's so fast and the climbs are pretty quick, and so it means that the racing really stays together. And even like I watched the live stream back, and I was like, oh, there's actually like a ton of or not a ton, but there's some moments where I have little gaps, and like I had no idea, you know. And on a natural like I think more like slow track, I think, you know, you can kind of hear the rider, like you can kind of hear that there's a separation. All of a sudden their tires sound farther back, like their breathing is like less close. And I really, really didn't know that. So that definitely like kept me on my toes, and it was also really windy. So I think, yeah, watch it. Yeah. My feeling after the race is like, oh yeah, like I definitely could have capitalized on other strengths other than just like power more so than I did. But it's fun. It's you know, that's what makes like racing, I think, rewarding, is that there's things to improve on, and there's things to do differently. And I feel like, you know, I think there's like a saying, like you either win or you learn, and well, I feel like I won and I learned, so disagree.
Well,
Yeah.
Spencer called it on lap 3, so for you winning, you know, he came back in. I mean, and could hear your breathing. Talk about it, right?
There was a moment Ty came in to the booth for a little bit, and I was helping with awards or something like that, right? Ty, I was giving the juniors the awards or something like that.
Yeah, we all pitched in this weekend.
and I took a little hike up to the like over under bridge thing with like 3 to go or something halfway through the race, and maybe even 2 to go. And I think you were in the lead because you led, like you pulled most of the race. I feel like you were doing the most work through and through. But you definitely seemed like you had your breathing under control much more than the other 2 riders did. And I kind of saw that as like a strength, and also something that was setting you up for a pretty good tail end of the race. Did you notice anything like that? Could you hear them breathing a little harder than you were?
I could hear them breathing. But I definitely, I mean,
you never know.
Jen, so much of racing is like not, I think, you know, whenever like the ego or kind of like this expectation comes in, it's like, you know, that's when I think you realize how like fragile that, you know, because then usually what happens right after you have a thought like, oh wow, they sound like they're really hurting, is like then you get surprised, and then you're on the back seat. So it's like I really try not to do that. So yes, I notice how hard they're breathing, but I also knew that, you know, it's like you have no idea. I mean, I think, yeah, as you said, like I led like the majority of the race. And so I really was, I think, the rider in control, and setting the pace and making the accelerations. And for sure, like I knew I was riding like powerfully, and that was like a big advantage. And I think like, you know, the thing I would have done differently is like, you know, there's a lot of times I like sat up on all the downhills. It was windy. I didn't want to pull on any of the start finish because I was like, okay, you guys are all going to sit on my wheel. Like I'm just going to, you know, ride as easy as I can. Like, so I was really mindful about, you know, not overworking, but I also think there's, you know, moments where I could have, you know, attack the downhill a bit more, or, you know, carried instead of like getting to the flat when it's windy and I had a couple wheel links like sitting up and just waiting for everyone to come back. I think I could have carried that gap a little more, and done a little bit of a harder acceleration and kind of strung out the field a little more. And instead I was comfortable. I trust my sprint a lot. I felt like I was in control. So I was patient, but it would be fun. It would be fun to have the confidence to be a little less patient. So
yeah, for sure.
Built on that this weekend. So
it was cool. It was, in my opinion, the most exciting race of the weekend, and it had the most kind of things to think about and talk about too. Jen definitely played to her strengths, which seemed to be making up and recovering pretty significantly on the descents, where she would close a lot of gaps, and then you would have this steady increase in power on the climbs, and that would open up space. And I think watching it definitely seemed like it caught you off guard a few times, where you'd look back and like have to look back a second time. You're like, whoa, I just put 5 bike links into them.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was super interesting to see, and cool.
No, it was cool. We definitely had like different. I wouldn't say Jen recovered more on the downhill. I actually think she used a lot more energy
overall,
because she had to sprint into all the doubles, like, and that was I think that's a consistent difference in our riding styles. Like, she consistently attacks on the downhills, and I'm consistently focusing on recovering and catching my breath and really relaxing, because I think it's unusual. I think it's unusual on an XCO track that you can, I wish it was different, but I think it's the reality. XCOs aren't one on the downhill, I think the consistency, I love a technical track. The more technical, the better for me. But I think the most important thing is that you hit the next climb and you have your breath, and you can kind of go all in on the climb again. And I think that's really hard to do if you're
sprinting on the
downhills.
I know she did sprint into that double a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for sure. And for sure, if it feels good, you have the momentum. And it's interesting, and it's really cool, I think, to have riders who not only start the race with a different strategy, but also like continue to execute it. Because sometimes it's like, I think there's kind of just like an adjustment to the way the race is playing out, and I think it makes it a lot more fun and dynamic when we are using different skills and mixing it up like that. So
because every minute I felt like you got either one of you three would break away, and then it would just, or whatever, how it would work out, and then all of a sudden, oh wow, and now it's back into play.
Totally.
It was great to watch, but I completely understand that, because I think she started casing that double, and I think it probably took even more wind out of her sails, and it hurts you more when you're down on stuff, or running out of energy.
I don't have I always talk about like having a limp upper body when I'm down descending racing, and it's true. It's like, you're winded. Like, there's only so much. A lot of times I'll practice on a track and I'll be like, wow, like, I'm going so fast, like I'm rolling my tire here, I'm doing this, and like I hit this, and then I get to race speed, and it's like, oh yeah, like I'm not riding that anywhere near the same as I am when I'm, riding for fun, right?
Well, right on. Congratulations. 2025 has brought some new things to you, correct? You got a new team, new squad. What's
talk about
pretty exciting? Yeah, let's hear about that.
That's a question that everybody wants me to answer.
Absolutely.
No pressure.
It's new.
Yes,
it's new. It's new and it's exciting. It's still a very new environment, and I think, I'm like a little hesitant to give everyone a full recap, because I think it's just like, there's so much to learn, and I spent 2 weeks with everyone, and that was like awesome to have that time ahead of the first World Cup. But it's also like, we're going to live together for, I don't know how many weeks it is, but like we have a lot, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
By we, you mean the other racers or the teammates?
I said the team, I guess.
Okay, gotcha.
Like the team will all be together so much of the year.
Okay.
So I think it's a really different environment for me. It was really awesome to have some of my American partners like Orange Seal come on board and kind of have like the, I guess, unification there, and kind of like the meshing of support systems. So that was really cool for me, that like KMC Ridley like saw the value of that, and like, I think having an American racer on a European team has its own unique needs that isn't like quite the same as like just signing another European rider, because I think the hardest thing about being an American is kind of how far away we live, and the different kind of obstacles that come with that. Like, I mean, one of the biggest like calculations about setting up my season is like, how am I going to manage to travel? How is that going to, like, not only how am I going to manage it, but how is it going to be sustainable? And like, I really need to have a team that like understands how important it is for me to be home, but can also like help support me when I am doing like extended blocks in Europe and stuff. And yeah, the team has been really great about like open dialogue and adjusting to like when I want to do things differently than the other European riders, and that's really huge for me. And I'm really excited. Everyone has a sense of humor, so that's great. That's like a big thing for me, just that we can kind of relax a bit, and like that I can like be on these like 4-week trips and like laugh every day. Like that's great. That goes a long way for me. All new equipment. So that's really cool. It's like, I've only ever ridden for like 2 bike brands in my life before, and like pretty much like 2 consistent setups.
Yep.
So to mix up everything is like, I think, really cool. And like this is the first year I've ever had like suspension tuned for me before, and that's going really great. That makes a difference, turns out. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun to switch things up and switch the environment up, and yeah, learn from some different people. So
Is Bart involved in this team?
yes,
Kelsey?
Bart
Okay.
is team manager. Yeah, that's super cool. I mean, and this is like, I think the only other team that's like has anywhere near the longevity is the Scott Saram team. So this team has been around for like 16, 17 years, like basically since Bart retired from his
Right. It used to
career.
be with Yanabella Moina, but they're riding something else, maybe, right?
Yeah, they were riding. I actually didn't know this. They were riding American Eagle,
Yeah,
which is
okay, that's what it was. Yeah.
Bart's frame that he made
Really?
because he won the Olympics in Atlanta.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah, there's like a long, Yana was with that team. I think they said for like 15 years or something.
Quite a while. How's it? Do you have much interaction? Are you working more with your mechanic or kind of on your own, or do you get to bounce stuff off of Bart? I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And how's that?
Yeah, Bart's kind of like the main contact
cool.
person besides my mechanic. But yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, he's like so accessible and helpful and down to earth. And like he feels very approachable, and like we can, one of the most, I was thinking about, transitioning environments. It's like, okay, well, what are the things that are actually most important? Because, it's easy. I think it's easy to get excited about, like, oh, like I really love like this product, or like the media around this thing or whatever. And I really had to ask myself, some questions like, what are the qualities of the environment that will like enable me to succeed? And one of the things was like, like how is the communication? Like how is feedback taken? Like is there like, do I come into the environment and it's like, this is the way we do things, and you either adapt or you hate it here? Or is it like, how are we going, like, how can we support you? What do you need from us? What do we need from you? And there's kind of like a dialogue there. And with Bart, I feel like there's really a dialogue, and that's like, yeah, like I say, I think that's like actually like the number one most important thing for me, and I have that. So check.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Just to inject a little side note, while Kelsey was racing, Bart and I and Dennis were texting back and forth. So he is on it.
He's on it.
He is
Yeah.
on it. It's really been a treat to work with him and the team as a whole. And yeah, we're really excited to see Kelsey be a part of that, and her humility and humanity and everything we talked about earlier. It just goes, I mean, one thing I know about Kelsey is she's very patient. And, but don't mistake her patience for being reserved. When it's time to go, it's time to go.
All
What
right. Good
what's the
quality.
schedule for you and plan for the rest of the year then? What are we looking at?
World Cups.
Cups.
Yeah, the first World Cup I think is like, I think I leave in, just over 2.5 weeks. So gets longer every year, and there's more every year.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. I mean, I love doing the non-European one. Like, I mean, just mixing up the schedule a bit, like getting to go to Brazil, like that's really fun. So and I feel ready, so that's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, you looked ready this weekend.
Yeah.
Are you gonna
Yeah.
make it to the round 2 here with the rest of the squad?
No, I'm not making it to round 2, unfortunately.
All right, that's all right.
All right.
Another
Well,
year.
we don't have nothing else to talk about.
Yeah, I know. Bye.
No, I mean, I don't know if we were listening, and a lot of us are pushing for a lot of U.S. or a strong base of great U.S. races, and work, and that's why I like working with Ty and trying to do that type of stuff and getting that. I don't know if you have the same feeling, and Chris has been helping with it too as well, but we believe, and I believe, and that's why having the broadcast and John helping with it. So us having a very strong influence here on XC racers and a platform for them to be shown. What is your feelings on that?
Yeah, I mean, it was like so cool this weekend because I got so many people watched this weekend, which is like, for me, it's like, it kind of catches me off guard because it's like, like a lot of times I'm racing the World Cups and, like no one really bothers, because it's like, I mean, if you're not in the top 3, like no one's seeing you. And, it's super cool. And I think it's, so like valuable for the sport. And I also I think there really is, with the creation of the Lifetime Grand Prix, I really do see like kind of a hole for U23s and junior riders who, are still love the mountain bike, still want to keep the
Yeah.
mountain bike alive and, don't necessarily want to go race 13 hours at Unbound. And it's really hard without more presence of the US like cross country scene. It's like, it's I don't know what they would do. And I think it's so cool. Like, and also talking to Cole Patton this weekend was really cool to have his perspective because he's, doing the Lifetime Grand Prix, and he was just like, this is so cool to be around all these young riders. Like, this gives so much back to me. Like, like they they all have like such questions, and they want to hear about this and they want to hear about that and they want my advice, instead of like, yeah. I'm gonna leave it there. But yeah, I think the US mountain bike scene is really strong, and there is like a really like deep heart in it, and I think it's so like this weekend is like so cool to get to be a part of because you really you get to be at the heart of it and participate and interact with the younger community. And I mean the World Cups are such a insular environment in a lot of ways. It's like I go to the track, I talk to my mechanic, I stop at like the pit, and then I go home and and I'm busy, right? But it's like to actually get to participate with a wider community is something I miss, and that adds a lot. So
Heck yeah. No.
Awesome. Well, great job this week. It's good to see you back. I know you had a couple of tough years, but it looks like you've solved any health issues or whatever is going on. It looks like you're back at the top, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Now we just got to talk Ty into just more of these. And
No, I'm smoked after this week, and I got myself in trouble. Got a little behind the 8 ball. They're not as easy as they look. It's not rocket science. So I'll try to just keep the quality going and stuff like that. But you know, and if while I got Kelsey here, I mean, is Austin, you know, we come from that motocross background where everyone from Europe is trying to get to America. It's almost the reverse.
It is the
Everyone's
reverse.
trying, and so I don't know in the current context of UCI and the Olympics and all that. That I remember when we were trying it with Show Air back in the day. I mean, we'd throw out big prize money one year to not do a UCI event and stuff, and it's it's even if you put the money out there, the Kabushes, the Adam Craigs, and all that were gone because they get paid to go to the World Cup. But maybe the U.S. is just a good like a springboard and a platform.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think we're going to replace UCI. I don't see that. They got way too a long head start. I'm saying Loretta Lynn's isn't replacing outdoor nationals, but it still gets amazing amount of participation.
Where all the talent comes
it's
out.
where all the
and
talent
that's how
comes
I
from.
look at us.
Yes, and that's
the
what
next Kelsey Urbans and the next Sevilias, and giving these young kids a little exposure.
Yeah, because right now, I mean, from me, I'm still fresh into this, but I just feel like I don't really. There's not anything, you know. It's like, okay, I was racing NICA, and then now I'm racing UCI. There's not a great stepping stone in the U.S. I feel like that you could land at a platform, and showcase yourself and win money or have a career. Because I mean, there's only so many people that are going to make it in the UCI rankings. Like, but there's a lot of great athletes that they should be able to land somewhere else and
I was
make
talking
something.
to Cole. I was like, you know, how's those 13-hour gravel rides, like Kelsey was saying. I mean, but you know, I don't blame him. He went to go, you know, make a living or go where he could. And in the XCs, that's very, very sharp.
He's a perfect example of what we need this for.
I wish that Cole can make a decent living or balance or race some more cross country, because he seems stoked to be back, you know, and stuff like that. And so if we could ever give him that platform, that would be awesome. That's the goal. Don't know if we'll get there, but we're trying.
Yeah, right. For sure. I mean, we'll die trying. It's where we're at. So
die trying. There you go.
Yeah.
And let's not leave dear old Braden out. He and Cole get together, and it's just like mountain bike.
Yeah. No,
I mean, there's a lot of people who have their heart in the mountain bike, you know, and there's really, I mean, and gravel's fun. I think I'm not saying anything bad about gravel. It's just like you have this whole skill set and this whole passion that you don't necessarily get to utilize. And I think, I mean, that would be really tough for me. And I think there's a lot of riders, you know, like I think about UCI racing like 8 years ago in the elite men's field, and it was like, and now, you know, now it's just Christoper and Cole came back and made a reappearance, but it's like, you know, what about where did all those guys go? You know, and some of them went to gravel, and some of them have just kind of like
moved on because they don't have any. Yeah. So I think that's really
Keegan
sad.
Swinson was once a great prospect for us,
Keegan,
and now that's where he's at.
Our stuff. Yeah. No, it is what it is, and it's the sport's cyclical, and Lifetime's got a strong thing, and I don't blame. I mean, we had Sophia, all of them kind of go over there and stuff, but I don't blame them.
Totally.
What we need to do is build this big enough where there's enough gravity that they're like, okay, hey, that's worth us going and racing at. So no, Kelsey, it's great to have you back. And Kelsey, one last thing about Kelsey that impressed me is a couple of years ago is she reached out to me, and so I think you're riding for Jenny's team, right? 31 and stuff.
31,
and like totally took the reins and like grabbed a junior ride day and did all this stuff. And that's one thing cool about this sport. You're not doing a ride day with Jet Lawrence or, you know, guys like that. And that is what's cool is like Kelsey, like went out and then she brought Chris, was out there at Fayetteville. It was really cool. And Kelsey, I don't know if I ever told you how much we appreciate that, but we do. And that's awesome of you to do that for sure.
Yeah. We talked about that a little bit with Chris too. I think that's one of the coolest parts about cycling as in general is the humanity overall, the overarching humanity of what the sport brings and how it offers everything. Like there's no replica to what some U17 rider that idolizes Kelsey can get in any other sport. Like she could just walk right up to her and ask questions and essentially just ride with her or really be right there. And I mean, even with the old Jet Lawrence experience,
I think we just lost her though. Her computer might have died. Sorry about that. Yeah. No worries.
But-
just keep forming your question. We'll she'll figure it out.
There was no question. I think this is just
a blanket statement.
Yeah, the cool part of the sport. I think there's not any other sport that can get access to these top level athletes right off the rip like that. So
yeah, I mean, it's cool. You had an Olympian racing this weekend and you could walk up and talk to him.
Yeah.
That's a big deal for sure. Yeah. Sorry to see you dipped out. You came back. Yeah. Welcome back. Cool. Yeah. Go ahead, Spencer. Maybe say it again. I don't know if she had heard you.
No, it's all good. She heard the gist, I think. But
she heard the gist.
I do have a question for you, Kelsey. Now that you're back. Hopefully you're plugged in now and the computer.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. We're good.
But one thing that I think is a commonality that continues to keep growing and pushing is the strength in women's cycling and the racing in the women's. I think it was definitely the most exciting racing, and it's pretty obvious that there's been so much progression in the last 4 or 5 years and the access, and you're just seeing more and more. I mean, I was out for a ride today at a local trail system with some buddies, and I think I saw more groups of girls out there riding and then there was guys, and I think that's super cool. Do you have anything that you would say attest to that, or how it's kind of building steam?
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, this is something I think about, have spent a lot of my career thinking about whether or not I'd like to, because it's a reality, it's like a very male dominated sport, and like there is so much development, but also at the same time, like I think cycling culture can be so exclusive. Like I go out all the time on my local trail system and I have men trying to drop in front of me on downhills and like, being like super passive aggressive and like upset if I'm, like dropping them on something like really like stuff where it's like, try not to get worked up about it because it's like the reality of where our sport's at. But I mean, I think about like, the privilege and sense of belonging that I have in sport. And like, I don't question that I belong here because I know I do. And I think about, a younger rider or a rider of color or other women without having like other support, other women out there with them. And it's like, man, this would not feel like a welcoming place. This would be really hard to show up day in, day out. And I think it's important, for people who, have that sense of belonging in cycling to be aware of that. And, there are so many ways that, you can just offer a smile, like, you know what I mean? Just like little moments of like connection that I think really do go a long way because, there is so much like ego and entitlement, out there that like I think so many riders are facing like every time they get on the bike. Yeah. But in terms of women's development, I mean, I think it's just like it's really special to be a part of, and it kind of blows my mind in a lot of ways. Like it wasn't like, well, I think when Haley Batten and I were racing 17-18, there was like 2 or 3 other girls like on the line with us, and I also, it's like I have a U23 teammate this year, a girl who her name's Carla, and I'm like super excited about because I've pretty much like I've maybe ever ridden with like 3 other girls who have ever been like keeping up with me or pushing me on descents. And that's like a pretty crazy thing to be able to say, right? Like, I think that really shows a generational gap because it's like how crazy is that to never, it's like I spent all my time training with guys. It's like guys have always been the one pushing me to the next level. And I love those 3 girls that I get to ride with, but there should be more. There should be way more. And this U23 girl has been like such a blast because she's just ripping the downhills, and it's like, you know, I can really see like, you know, the next generation is coming, man, and they've been riding way longer, way harder,
Yeah.
like, you know, than you have, you know, and yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I really think like, I mean, I could talk about this for a long time, but I think, you know, one of the things that's been like, I guess shaping for a lot of a woman of like my generation is like, you kind of grew up being the only one. And I think that has like an impact on so many levels. And I mean, especially I think in the ways like women can show up to support each other, because I think it's a lot more challenging. Like if you've always been the best, if you've always, you know, always been held up as like the only one, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of other girls, like it's hard to be able to really show up and support each other in the same way. And not to say I don't think the women of my generation do that. I'm just saying it's different than if you grow up and you've been raised, you know, you see a difference in the ways I think the men support each other than in the ways the women support each other, because the men grew up, you know, always just trying to eke out one over the other, and you know, you get beat, and that's part of growing up in like close racing. And I don't think a lot of the women have gotten beat before they show up to the World Cup, and that's pretty crazy. And I really hope, and I think I see this in like real time, that's changing, and that like the camaraderie, and you know, I think I don't know, I don't want to put a time frame on it, but I think a couple years ago you really had women on the World Cup thinking like, there can only be one of us. There can only be one who's a star. And you had that, right? You had riders dominating like that. And now I think there's really, I feel like I've been watching this shift in the culture of like, if one of us is better, that means we're all getting pushed to be better, and we're all kind of like uplifting and supporting each other in that way. And that's really special to be a part of. And I also really hope that I hope and I believe that this is like the last generation where this will be relevant the same way it's been relevant for me, because, you know, you look down at the junior field, it's like, man, they're coming, like,
Yeah.
you know, and they're pushing each other all the time. And that's really cool. So.
Well, as Ty mentioned, I'm from motocross, and there's no future for women in it. And I have 2 daughters, so they will not be getting dirt bikes. They will be getting bicycles, and they ride bicycles. And because there's a future, women can make just as much or near close in racing.
They're just holding up the sign.
Yeah.
Just calling it out here.
No, they are.
I love motocross, by the way, but it's not. Yeah, not a.
No, they destroyed the women's motocross. I was there when it all went down. But I mean, yeah, it's I think it's pretty rad that you guys have a lot of opportunities with that in cycling and all that type of stuff. So for me, having daughters and cycling, and I was like, we got to make a transition here. So, and you guys have something over there, and then making pretty damn close to some of the top men. It's pretty rad.
Yeah, it's really cool to be a part of.
So, well, thank you for forging the way. You know, I'm being
well. A lot have come before me as well, but it's cool. It's a cool moment to be a part of in women's cycling, I think, because we really are, I think, like reaping a lot of the fruits of the labor before and during our time. So it's cool.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, it's cool. It's super cool to watch. And like I said, it was your guys' race on Saturday was by far the most exciting. And I think that there's a lot to be super excited about with the women in our sport and the progression that's being made. It's it's honestly inspiring for, I think, a lot of the guys too, just how the races are being
the women's race was better. I was
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, absolutely. So we don't even need the men's elite race. We got yours. You know, we
against Chris for the runaway, but
yeah.
It was. I mean, that was a great battle. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah, it was.
Sweet. I know you're getting a little echo through there.
And I got to jump off and do
All
some
right.
more work.
Thank you,
before I
Ty.
head out to
Thanks for
Fayetteville.
hopping
John,
on.
thank you, Kelsey.
Yeah.
Pleasure. Check your email. I owe you a check. I just need to know where to send it.
Yeah.
Have a good one, John. I'll be
Fayetteville,
talking
because
to
she's
you.
going to come now, that's why.
The check is the check is in Fayetteville. You got to come
Yeah.
pick it up.
Yeah.
Have a
just
good one,
make it
everyone.
out- Just make it out to Braden. She'll get it.
Got it. Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Just
Okay.
kidding.
Awesome.
Thank you, Ty.
Great job.
I appreciate it.
y'all.
Bye,
Have a good
Ty.
one.
See you soon.
I'll let you go and chat with Kelsey as well. It's truly been an honor to work with you, and you guys did a great job of commenting as well as bringing the action to the big screen. And I can't thank y'all enough. Kelsey, you had an amazing ride this weekend. You showed what we saw 2 years ago. You were patient. You fought through it, and you have arrived.
There we
Yeah.
go.
That was nice. Thank you.
That's a great send off
you.
there, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, John, for everything. Seriously.
All right.
Thanks for coming on too. And I know it was like a last minute and everything like that. So thank you for being available.
Thank you. Bye.
Cool. All right, buddy.
Somebody was it you, Kelsey? Someone's got a cat that I think had something to say earlier. It was
Yeah.
No,
super
not
vocal.
my cat. I think Ty's cat.
Might have been
Maybe.
Ty's cat.
I seen the
Yes,
door
it's
open.
fine.
Davey was going in and out. So I really appreciate you making time to come on here and everything like that. I know Spencer's got a role here in a second. Can we do another podcast with you in the future and dig
Yeah,
into this?
I have questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
I got
yeah,
lots
like
of questions.
this one was kind of more just around the race weekend and stuff like that. But I could see you're down to you have some good stories. I'm into this. I like it.
Oh, I have no, I don't. I don't know how many stories I have, but yes, we can do another podcast. Sounds.
I
good.
love that. Okay. All right. Congratulations on the weekend. And I really appreciate you coming on and giving us time. I know it was kind of
Yeah,
like
thanks for being there and covering it. It's really cool to have the coverage. As I said, like
it was fun.
really
I mean, it was
never had
rad.
anything
And
like
that place was
before.
cool.
And, you know, I think nationals was like an occasional tweet. So that's what we
Yeah.
were working with there. So it was super cool.
Yeah.
Little step up from Twitter,
Yes.
to
Wow.
say the least. But yeah, it was
I
awesome.
think so.
Alrighty, are
Well,
we
thank you
wrapping up,
guys. I appreciate everything. Cool. You out, Spencer?
Yeah,
See
I
you,
got it.
Kelsey. Thank you, everyone. We're all live on
Thanks, guys.
YouTube. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And we'll see you in Fayetteville.
Not
Thank you,
Kelsey.
guys. Later.
Kelsey there.
Bye.
See you guys.
There we go. That should end the stream.
She's outie.
Yep.
That was an interesting one, to say the least.
Yeah, that was wild, right?
Yeah. Are we on? Are we still on?
No,
YouTube?
I ended